part of knowing who we are is allowing ourselves enough grace to pull together pieces, our pieces. Which pieces are ours? I'm extremely emotional this morning, and I'm trying to educate myself on the feeling without actually ruining the feeling. It takes a lot of balance. To fit the puzzle piece where it goes. It takes some focus, some concentration, matching, and letting go. Because when it's done, it's done. Identifying who we are in other people helps us and some people aren't actually allowed different places of consciousness because it's like if you could mix every moment of birth and every funeral and remind yourself not to step there. Thanks, guys. Some people don't realize why that some people tiptoe around. Some people don't understand why. why some people, choose softness in a world that is people choose some people choose whatever that they are dealt, and don't actually realize where they belong. They don't realize that some people don't have a family, and some people never tell. Some people have a family and have to be empty to be safe. Some people can strangely arrange themselves to feel comfortable around one another. But more than anything, some people can't allow themselves to feel as if that they are loved, and that's why that I am on YouTube. Is because some people are trapped. I'm like crying a lot right now. Thanks for being friendly, guys. I think for me that like I kind of just got the bad angle on a lot of things, and like that's a lot of crying. I have tears all the way down my stomach. I'm just looking at the comments for a minute. I don't think I've ever had this many comments ever. The thing is that some people are very present all the time. And Neil wants to tell a joke. Go ahead. People go in all sorts of directions. And some people kind of stay online all the time. And, like, I feel like I've shared every square inch of my life. I've shared it on multiple platforms. And then I went into, excuse me, I went in to study a little bit of self-healing and human design. And like I went through some of there's like wild success classes, to have some sort of structure around creating something with some continuity. Ronix, if I get further away, I don't have any clothes on. Like you called me out on it. I was getting ready to get in the shower. As you can see, shower. And I did not make it to the shower yet. And so after, kind of tolerating being around most people, you know, some people just actually feel life a lot more intensely. And, like that doesn't make any difference to some people. They just still function in the way they function in different modes for different people. Some people have like, here I am, or fuck off. And UKG says some people are indeed functional wrecks. Some people don't understand the layering. And some people don't understand that somebody can live with you and you never see them. That's hard to wake up to. Hi, Angel. UKG says waking up is not supposed to be easy. Is that a real thing? Waking up? I think that I think that some people that you know that as far as having connection, like I maybe have never slept more than enough to know. I think that this insane amount of, like that was a lot of crying, is that I'm learning something that some people know their whole life. I'm sorry, Paula. They also let me win. They let me win and cry. But it was very expensive. Expensive in the way that, you know, I've spent the holidays by myself for the past 2 years. That there's new babies that I've not met in the family. And I don't really care to talk about it because I don't want it to affect them. Like, you see where I are. Thanks, Brittany. And thank you, Angel. I don't even I think that the dangerous part is I don't want to talk about what was because I'm more interested in what is to come. And that's it's it's something that you have to work towards. It doesn't matter, right? It's a disservice to yourself to keep in a downed state. And part of this is, if this has been a problem with family, that why, like, how do I find the proper job other than just to share who I am? Some people are more complex. Some people have more to give by being honest about themselves than they will ever, like, be able to give a group of people in a work environment. Like, for me to, thinking about sitting in an office, or thinking about working in a store, you know, both of these things, and I have physical limitations. Like, I try not to talk about, like I have some physical limitations in what I can, like, I deal with a lot of physical pain. If you've seen my, like, neuropathy videos. And, like, I have such a huge desire to be accurate about my perceptions, because I think that, like, it's most important. I want to be authentic, but I also want to be sure that, that I'm in a level of being able to pass a great feeling on to the next person. And that's just the thing, like, there's a whole nother world that, people create in their mind that I've, you know, never been a part of, and I want to. I think when I noticed that, people have created these worlds, that I felt concerned that maybe they thought that I was a part of it too. And I was afraid to say anything, because, like, I like to make people feel good, to feel better. And so I just kind of drifted away for a while. And, people make all kinds of stories. I think that, one of the most helpful things for me was that when I realized that other people could help me feel better, without ever you know, being in proximity and like really embodying that truth, was like a really big turning point for me. Thanks, Mark. But, you know, whenever that you are passive and trusting, it's kind of a discretion of the world versus having any power for yourself. I've just been very selfless. And so it being able to navigate with my words is the prime importance. And yes, I was getting ready to get in the shower. I decided I needed to make a video. I'm thinking about starting a snail mail club. I'm a writer. Like I wrote a book, Unbending the Non-Truth. It's for download on Amazon. Hey, Jenny. I feel as if that it's almost painful for me to market myself. I feel like asking for money isn't okay. I feel like trying to sell, like cuz I make stuff, like I make art, stuff like this, and I make jewelry and like like I make all kinds of stuff. And so part of this is getting used to not feeling like that I'm, like part of, like, excuse me, we all have to have money to survive, but this is such a complex reality that it's almost like that, my environment had to be cleaned in order for that to happen. I've had to go down to absolutely no money whatsoever. So, like, I'm just waiting to go to a different point. But, like, but it's really hard, like, whenever that I've had such, difficult experience with, like working in an environment with other people, I need to figure out how for this to be different. You know, like like when people have something to sell, like there's a good chance that somebody wants to buy it somewhere. There's a good chance that like I mean, how does that work? Do you know? There's something to work that I don't understand properly, that I've just always been someone who could emotionally be available and also to others. What's a blue collar job, Daniel? Oh god. I need to get in the shower. But like I do make lots of different things. I make these. I make necklaces. This is my artist signature. It's made with hemp. So this is made with clay. I have a mold, and then they can be whatever color. And then I make macrame. This is tie-dye. These are barefoot sandals. Well, I only have one of them in my hand. The other one's on the floor. But I was just going to show you barefoot sandals. Thanks, Hamid. Million. I don't know what that means. But, like, like how do I, it, it's a full reset for me. And I just have to trust that, like I have a lot of information. And so reality being that I have to trust that I'm brought to, what is best for other people. Hi, Rice. So Daniel's saying like wars and nobody has money to buy art, but the thing about my reality is that I create a serendipitous choice. You know, I've had a lot of people challenge me that I'm no longer able to do so. And I have left that part of myself behind because it created a sense of myself that I do not like that it's one thing to stand up for oneself, but it's another thing to force yourself to stay in a position that is taking away your desire for you. So the change for me being that I no longer allow, and the only reason that I've been able to do this is because I really took apart the understanding. And I said, like, I actually do see where you are coming from and why that, that you're coming across to me as hostile. And when I see myself in just that small scenario, it's not who I am. Think about the beginning of the call or video, this YouTube. If thou had any power over the temple of my mind, I call that power back to myself, so that I may use the prism of love to transmute reality in a way of truth, of love. Yes, I've always been obese. Daniel, you sound like my family. I have always been obese. Yeah, thanks. Um, Daniel, for thanks for, like, I think the sad thing is that that is really the only way that they have known how to, like, have a relationship with me. It's either like neglect and indecision. See how I'm talking about things that I never even wanted. So let's go back to the beginning. Like, you can do this for yourself. This is partially the difference. Some people don't actually realize the value. Some people don't realize that half the people in my chat are bots. The truth is that we are going to live our life regardless of how that others live theirs. Who shaved your eyebrows off? Um, I think they might just look like that they're there. So hi, Joe. How are you? Thanks for visiting. Let's do something fun. Let's change direction a little bit. I'm not very good at this whole like I haven't had humans in my life for a while. And I could get used to that. That would be nice. Like see, like this is a really interesting thing. A girl that loves Jesus. Do you like corn dogs? And then Peachy Vibes is using this like symbol that I asked nobody to ever use in my chat yesterday. And then a girl that loves Jesus. If you don't like corn dogs, then say so. Okay. So, anyway, but like I don't want to make this too incredibly long, although it's alive, so it's like, well, you can go back and watch it or you don't have to. But part of it is that, I'm in pain right now. Like I deal with, like part of this is calling back to myself and saying, like nobody should be able to pick up on something outside of my body that's connected to my body. And, like I think that I will continue with the metaversity. If you see one of my last posts is that, like you have to personally inform yourself how to deal with certain things. And it's like healing a wound. So all of these emotional things are coming up that I'm sharing with you. Hi, Matthew. And part of it is feeling like that you can be open to sharing that, that that you feel vulnerable, that that some of these states of being create a lower state of wellness. It's just like recovering from a surgery, and we don't always take time to heal those wounds. Hi, Peachy. Like spiritual wounds are just as important, if not more important, because it's just like a hole in anything. Like if you, I mean, like just a hole in anything. I'm not trying to make this difficult, and also I think that it's important to know that I'm more focused on, healing this spiritual uh, pain that it takes time. It takes silence, focus, and knowing whenever enough's enough. I think some things are difficult to share, but some things are better left unshared. A fish from a lake. What's going on here? I am going to finish plucking my eyebrows, and then I have to do my physical therapy exercises. And then I'm going to shower. Stefan says, "You look like if a man and a woman had a child. Keep grinding." Space Cowboy UG says, "Hello, bro." Look at this. I never have this. Why do I have this? Why do I have this? That one's permanent. That looks like real. PC Tricks Plus 7906. Do meditation. Recommend meditation. Recommend yoga. Or just stretching. I'm not sure why people enjoy using this weird symbol that seems to have an effect on how that I am seeing you, because like I am not a fan of symbols. I think that hi, Kenley. Thank you, darling. Okay, Kenley, take care. Bye bye. Thanks for saying hi. Ow. I'm going to say something off subject because I think that it's important. And here it goes is that in sadomasochism, which is BDSM, there is a term called aftercare. Aftercare. So whenever that things get extra spicy and intense, that it's important excuse me, that people be aware of your needs because you are in a mental state that is, in some people's judgment, not acceptable. You follow? Feel the Vision says, remember when he used to be cool? Wow. Wow. Does anybody want to do a collaborative? We could like sit and chat. Should we do a collaborative? I think I'd love to do a collaborative. And Shay says, my mom told me never to pluck my eyebrows, only cut. Oh, that's shocking. So you don't think that people should wax their eyebrows? Let's talk about eyebrows. What are eyebrows? This is where I need help. You know? No. Thank you, Shay. Sometimes I forget. I've put a lot in having a lot of self control. Okay, well, I got my eyebrows plucked. But see, when I pluck them, I just pull them straight out. And then it's done. But, I mean, that's something to consider. See here? Sometimes I have to pluck this. Now, this probably should never be plucked. Thanks, Shay. See my scar? Scar. 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 You've got other people talking to themselves as if it's me. That's a problem. Can you help with that, please? Don't do what? All my crybaby things. That was a lot of emotion. It kind of felt good. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't have these very often, but when I do, sometimes I'll do this. Get you a little Sandra Lee in here real quick. Oh, look at that. I never do this. Oh my god. Very rarely. Look, I think we got a booger on there with it. Jeffrey Epstein Jew says ew, and then a puke face. Okay. And then I can't read your name, but it says I'm very sad that some women do that. I'm not sure why. Joanne McKee, I used to pluck brows, now got SOD all, so had them tattooed. I don't get it. Oh, you guys got like a free Dr. Pimple Popper Sandra Lee show. Well, did you guys get enough of me today? I sure am glad that you decided to hang out with me. I'll take requests. There's some things that I am able to articulate, to discuss and understand that are really hard for some people. I'd be glad to, if there's something specific that I can talk about. But I also do like a cuddle sessions. So I have like some giant stuffies, and I like to do that. So that's fun for me. But I'm going to go for now. It says, if you saw what people in southern China eat, you'd be shocked and want to throw up. That's maybe I'll do that today. I'll watch some because I know that a lot of, but see, like this is where that I'm starting to make new associations because like some people eat the brain whole. So there's an idea and then they feel challenged and decide, let's just eat a chicken with all the bones in it because it's crunchy. And then they wonder why Americans have showed up to support their ideas. You know? Oh, thanks, guys. I appreciate you all being here while that I navigate through this. And if I can help you with anything home, you let me know. Sending love.